Hello, welcome on. After learning about views and rendering data in views, today we will see about the modules. So what are the modules? Modules are the object representing the business logic and the rules of the application. For example, we will see this contact form. In contact form, we have to collect the name, email, subject, and body that contains the message. We have to collect all this data to store in our database. So how it is created, how these fields are created, we will see that today. So what we'll do, we will move to our application code. In that, we create our own module. So to create a module, you should extend the yii-based model. Okay, so we will create our own module. Let's see. In module folder, new file, we will give our module name as suppose register.php. Okay, we created the module. What we will do now? PHP namespaces app models. Okay, next use ye. To create a module, you should extend the yii-based model class. So how it is used? We will write use yii-based extend the models class. Okay, in that we have to create our own module. So what we'll do, we'll define a class. What is the name of our module? We have given register. So extends modules. So to create a modules or to create a fields in a module, we have to create an attributes. So what is the attribute? The attribute represents its business data or a logical data, and it can be accessed like an array element or it can be individually accessed an object property. So let's create an attribute of the model. So we'll define public name, public email, and public home. We have defined these three attributes of the our register model. So how it can be accessed and how it can be used to access the data, we will see that. So for that we have to move our controller. So controller, we will go to our action example controller to create an action for this register model. So in example controller, we will define one action function or action method. So public function action. I will give a name it as form. Okay, as we are making for it in registration. You can give any name for that. To access the attribute of the register model, we have to create the instance of our module. So now we create the instance of our register module. So how do we do that? Find one variable register equals new register. Okay. This is how we declare an instance of our register module. We can access the attributes of the model by two ways. First, with the object properties, and second, with an array element. So we will go first with the first method, that is by object properties. So how it is object properties. So how it is going to be? We will give the name of the variable, sorry, the name of the instance of the variable, the name of the attribute, and assign the value. Suppose I have assigned ABC. Okay. Second, email ABC at date yahoo.com. How will print it? Echo $reg, name of the attribute. Okay. Mint on, sorry, we move to next line. How will we print it? Echo reg name line echo $reg. Second element is email. How it will print? To our example controller, then name of the action method. Here it is ABC and ABC at the rate yahoo.com. This is how we can access the objects attributes of the model by objects properties. And the second way is to access this by array element. So by array elements, first we assign the value reg array name, assign the value. Here it is for xyz. How will you print it? So how it will print it? $reg, and simply write the attribute name. And so we will move to browser to see the result. XY. Suppose if you want to see all the attributes of the model, simply use the var dump method to see the attributes. So how it is? Var dump, pass the object and call the attributes method. Attributes, and we will see the result to the browser. See, it is in array form: string name, string email, string phone. These are the attributes we have declared in our register module. So it will print the attributes only. So if you want to print the label of an particular attribute, we simply call the method get attribute label. So how it is done? We will see with example. Var dump is the object, call the method get attribute label, pass the attribute name. Suppose we will pass it as name only, first attribute, and we will go to the browser to see the result. What is it means? In browser it will show the string name, but in this case, the first letter of an attribute shows with the upper letter, that it shows the label of an attribute. So always remember that the label always start with the uppercase. An attribute is simply shows with the same case which we have declared in our module. Okay. If you don't want to use this default labels, you can override it. So how can it be override? For that, we have to write function in our module to override the attributes label. So what we'll do, we move to our register module and we'll write here one function, public function attribute labels. Okay, we will return here some array, return. Okay, and here we override the attributes name. How it can be done? So name and label which want to be in our application. So here I write enter your name. In place of name, I want to show the label enter your name. Okay, email enter your email ID. Third one is for phone. Enter your number. Okay, and then colon close the. So whenever we call the name label, the overwritten label will print. So for that we will go to the action method. For name we will write the, we have already written the get attribute label. We will write for the email test email. Let's echo it. We will check to the browser. See, enter your name, enter your email ID. This label will be overwritten here. And how this is way you can give the attribute label name. Suppose if you want to print all the attributes with their values, so you can do in this way. Print all attributes with their values. For that we will use for it attribute pass the value then echo register get, we will call the get attribute label pass the attribute variable. We will go to browser to see the result. We will go to browser and check the result. Refresh. Here you can see the label of the attribute with their values. Enter your name, ABC, email ID, abcyam.com, and enter your number, that is number given over. So this is how by get attribute label we move the iteration for each attribute and print the values with their attribute. The next thing we will see that to create a rules on an attribute. Why rules is needed? Whenever you create any form or to make any registration form, there are some fields that are required to be filled. Without it, the form cannot be submitted. If you don't put any values in that field, it will print the message or it will show the error to fill the required field. So how it does? It does because of the rules and the validation applied to the application on that field. So now we see how to create a rules on the attributes. So for that, we will go to our model, and in that we create one function for rules, public function rules. Okay, how to define rule? Let's see, return, we pass the array of the attribute. For example, we will see it now for only one attribute. We pass the name attribute, name, and rules applied is required. Okay, what we have written in model, name, and the required rule applied on this attribute. So how we can validate it? We will go to example controller. So what we do in action method, so what we do, we validate it by default validation function. So we put the condition in our common class. So how it is, if the object or the validation function to check the validation, put condition, if it is successfully validated, it will show the message success, or else print the error message or message you want to display there. Fill in, fill the required fields. Okay, so let's move to browser to check the result. It will show success. Why it is showing success? Because we pass the name attribute with their value ABC. If we comment this ABC name attribute and we'll go to browser to check the result, now it will show the error message. Why it is showing error message? Because we did not pass any value here. See, here enter your name is equal to blank because the name field remains blank. Whenever the field is empty, it will show the error message. You can apply one rule for more than one attribute or multiple attributes. The rule we are passed here or we are given here is called validator, rule validator. So we see the example for multiple attribute. What we'll do, we pass here another attribute as email, and we'll go to the controller. We comment the email line also and go to the browser to check the result. whether it is showing error or not. Yes, enter your name and enter your email ID is equal to blank. So it is showing fill the required fields. The next thing in that, if you want to see the error for each field, suppose I want to see the error for the name field also and email field also. So we can pass here, we can do this by var dump method and pass the variable and call the error method. We print it. This method will show errors of individual attributes in array format. So we will go to browser and we will check it. So here it is array format of the attribute errors. So for name it will show enter your name, it cannot be blank, and for email enter your email ID, it cannot be blank. Okay, so we can use var dump method to print individual errors for the attributes. The next thing in this, another thing we will do in this, the customization of error message, that is the validator we are using here will add a message what we have given over there. It will not print this default error message. So how we can pass the error message? So we will pass here message and what message we have to print. Suppose I want to print the enter the file fields. This message should be displayed instead of this default error message. We will go to browser to check this and it will print enter the required field message what we have given here. We will see another example of integer also. Suppose we pass here and suppose it should be integer. We give here validator as integer and if it is not then it should print the message enter integer only. Okay, so we will go to the controller. We remove the comment of this email. Okay, and with phone number by default we have given here integer, so it will not show any error. Let's check it. It is success. If we pass here it is any string value or text and we will go to the browser to check it. For the phone number field enter integer number here only. Okay, for we will do this for email also. Suppose for email we use email validator, and if it is not valid email it will show the message enter valid email ID. Okay, we'll go to the controller. We pass it as integer only. And instead of this yahoo.com, I will pass it is text and go to the browser. We'll check the result, enter the valid email ID. So this is how you can set the rules and customize the messages for the attribute. In next video, we will see about the layout.